Hello, guys, and welcome to our first Australian nationwide conference call and training. We're so super excited to have everyone on board today, aren't we, Martin?
Yeah, it is amazing. There's so much history being created, so much excitement out there, and it's really the beginning of where the magic is starting to happen. So, not only our first nationwide call, but also the first day of our nationwide blitz, and we've seen some rank advancements happening already.
Definitely. So this today's all about inviting. So that when we're talking about the most important skills and the best things to have in a business, it's definitely this skill here. But before we get into that, because we have got some fabulous, fantastic people that we're going to be interviewing around it, there's a few events and a few things coming up that everyone should know about. So what are these, Martin? What's the first one? Obviously the Blitz.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure, bro. So we have the Blitz, it's happening now. Don't get overwhelmed by it. Just have fun, be productive in the time that you can put into it, and, just have fun with it. Get your plan and get into action. And the four income producing, which we'll cover off over the next 6 weeks, we're going to cover the most important one, which Nathan talked about, which is that intrigue and invite tonight. And for the new people online, the other ones that reach out to your upline so you can learn more about them is writing your list, presenting and sharing, and then the follow-up and events. They're the most important things and the bread and butter of this business. Which brings us to, we have a awesome harbour cruise.
So that's actually going to be on a big boat, a big boat. So we're talking about up to 500 people on board a cruise ship, sailing around Sydney Harbour on Thursday, the 27th of October, and it's just going to be a huge opportunity to network, to connect, to really meet new people on board on board, and really just have a bit of fun, excitement before the main event, which is obviously the conference. So
The link for the tickets are on Beautiful New Lives, and there's also some links out there on the team pages. So reach out to your uplines, get your tickets, and also remember the new people that you're bringing in over the next few months, get their tickets, because basically there's not even enough ticket left for everyone who's currently got a ticket to bring one person with them. So really important that people understand that it will max out. The other thing that leads up to is our first ever conference in Australia. So we have the founders coming, and we also have some of the top income earners, the best in the business, coming.
yeah, definitely. And I suppose one of the things about these calls now is that we have our own Australian call. So what it means to us is that we're going to be able to connect with different leaders. We're going to be able to interview a lot of different people throughout that time. Really talk to people and work out what works, what doesn't, and we're going to be able to have access to it on the Nucerity corporate website. So we're going to have such an opportunity to be able to share this information. It's going to be a really good tool for us to be able to use going forward. So it's going to be every single Monday night at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you connect to it. And as we said, these are going to be recorded and going to be available online through Nucerity, which is fantastic. And it's great that we've been able to work with all the leaders around Australia to make this happen. So it's just, for us, really exciting that everyone's uniting together. So what do we want to talk about now, Martine?
Inviting.
Inviting.
Intriguing.
Intriguing. And what else?
I don't know. What else?
Third party.
Oh, third party. Absolutely. It is the most important part of the business.
Awesome. So today we've got some really special guests and really close friends to us, and people that we've been able to grow closer and closer throughout our journey. So do you want to tell who we've got on today?
Yeah, you guys are so lucky and blessed to have on the call some of the best leaders, not only within Australia, but globally. And their teams are absolutely exploding. How they're duplicating the leadership from these ladies is absolutely phenomenal, which is why we've asked them to come on and share their tips on intrigue and invite, because they're really mastering this profession. Now, something I just want to mention, because I know we've got a lot of new people and a lot of people that have reignited, so consolidating back to a rank, and people just starting out. Now, this is a journey. Be comfortable that the same as when you first learned to ride a bike or the first time you learned to play an instrument, you may not be brilliant at it straight away, but it's a mastery. So the more you do it, the better you're going to become, and the easier it is as you learn these skills and put them into action. So I want to encourage you, this is, a 3 to 5, a 10-year plan. Treat it like an apprenticeship, have fun with it, and really get your pen and paper if you haven't got it out already, so you can write down these tips. And, you know, if you've been in the business for a little while and you know about this, listen from a perspective of how you're going to go and teach your new people that you're bringing on.
And the fantastic thing is that every single person in this business is slightly different. So the reason why we're bringing in all these new people is that there might be something that someone says that can work for you. So everything in these training calls may or may not work for you, but there's no harm of giving it a go. And we've really got lots of different people that it's part of it. And for Amy and Nikki, it's super exciting to have them on board. So guys, you want to share your webcams?
So we have Australia's newest diamond, who is my friend of over 20 years. We actually went to school together. We love her to death. She's also growing a human, and she's got about 6 or 7 weeks to go. So I know one of her goals for the Blitz is not to give birth prior to the end of it. She is a personal trainer. She also has a master's in health, has done some university lecturing, and super proud to say a network marketing professional. She's our newest diamond leader, not only within Australia, but globally. Amy Kenny, are you there?
Hello, thank you for having me tonight. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to share some tips on inviting and intriguing, something that I've definitely gotten better at over the course of my 2 years with the company. So I'm really looking forward to being on the call.
Awesome, and it's going to be fantastic for you to offer and share some of your experience and what you've learned over those couple of years. So who else do we have, Martine?
We have Zarnecki. So Nikki Zarnecki, she's our powerhouse leader, and my understanding, the fastest ever emerald we've had in Australia. She actually pipped us by a month. So she is an amazing woman. She's actually a police officer of nearly 20 years and just an absolute determined woman on a mission, and has a powerhouse team building, not only locally in her own community, but she's also got some international team members as well. And these ladies, they know their stuff. So welcome.
Welcome, Nikki.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
So, what do you reckon the first question would be? What part of Intrigue and Invite do you think is the most important?
So, Aim, do you want to start us off with what is intrigue and why is it so important?
Look, this is something that I love about Nucerity and network marketing. And if you think about what intrigue is, it's curiosity, and you really want to give that to people when you first start them out, because if you start with the entire presentation, no one is going to want to come and watch it. You've already given them exactly all the information they need, and they make the decision on the day. So intrigue is really, really important to get people interested in what you're doing, and then also being able to invite them to the event that you would like them to come to, whether or not that is a launch or a presentation, a coffee date, a three-way call, a webinar, whatever it is that you want to invite them to. If you intrigue, then they are going to want to know more.
Definitely. So, that whole importance. So why, Nikki, so for question for you, so why is learning to invite such a important, critical part of the business, especially early on?
Well, if we don't invite anyone, we can't share the beautiful gift that we've got. And it's funny because people are so scared of inviting, but they're so proud of what we're doing. So this is what perplexes me sometimes. We love what we're doing. We love the community we're part of. We love how our skin looks, but we don't want to tell anyone about it. So of course we've got to invite them because we want people to share and feel what we feel. So it's so important.
And how early on do you actually, when we're talking about in the early stages, how early do you actually give this education to somebody?
From the day they enroll. Because basically as well, everyone wants to share with their two nice and quick. So I always say, let's get your first two in the first week. Let's get cracking on that 2 by 2.
Definitely. And what have you learned from that experience by doing it that way?
When you bring people in that way, they bring their people in. They don't know any different. Everyone does the same. So basically, everyone's finding their first two in the first week. So it's with excitement. That first week is actually the perfect week to invite because you can't actually vomit on anyone because you don't know enough. So you have to bring another person in, or you have to bring them in front of the message. It's the ultimate time to do it. So a lot of people go away and say, oh, I have to research everything. I need to learn everything about it. And it's like, no, use this first week to your advantage. Actually go and just say, I actually don't know enough. I'm brand new, but I'm so excited. You need to come and see what I saw.
Definitely, and it's really funny hearing that story because we obviously see all the time in this business that some people just over educate themselves in that first little while, and it's it's not successful in this business, to be honest.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I learned from the 10 Things to Be from the Network Marketing Superstars, and it really resonated with me, is that people coming into this profession, especially people who are already successful, can often struggle with being that apprentice because it is so different to anything that we've ever seen before. So it's exactly right in encouraging people to embrace the concept. So Amy, what tips do you have for people to help teach their new people how to invite, and how important is this?
Oh, how many do you want? I just want to add to the very beginning when you are doing your intrigue and invite, and I forgot to say it, talk with conviction. And I think that's something that I've definitely learned over the last 2 years is be proud of it. Exactly what Nikki just said. You guys are proud of having amazing skin and you're proud of being able to change your life. So tell people about it really quickly and with curiosity. Okay, so some tips. So I want you to be absolutely 100% coachable from the very beginning, and that is by using the upline to help you with inviting. So do that from the beginning. And the next key that I want to really talk to you about is listening. And I think in that inviting process, it starts the close. And I know we're getting into this a little bit later, but you really need to listen to what people want. Listen because you want to help people, and when you come from that perspective, you're going to invite the right way because you're going to be able to share with them why this can help. So being coachable and listening, being really quick with your invitation as well, so not long-winded. If you do get a voicemail, then you say, you know what, hey Nick, I've got something I want to share with you, can you give me a call back real quick, and then set up a coffee date. So being really quick with it as well. And trying not to be the entire message at that very first point of invite.
Definitely, and such a good tip for sure. So, what kind of tools we look at things, ways to improve, educate ourselves, and become a better, I suppose, professional. So, for Nikki, what tools did you use to gain the knowledge and educate yourself on the topic?
Um, for me at the start, network marketing was a swear word, to be honest. And I think it was a lot to do with the job that I do. I wanted to be really sure of what I was doing. But now, that I'm really comfortable with it, I share it with people. And I got a little addicted to Matt Morris. I went to bed with Matt Morris most nights at the start. I love him. It's short and sharp, and just you watch his videos and say, oh my God, he just recorded that for me. I'm sure he did. So I like that. But it does get to a point where you've got to like almost ban yourself. Stop researching, stop looking up stuff. Like give yourself like a day, and then it's like you're done. Get in and actually do it. The way I learned at the start, and particularly being down in Melbourne with my upline actually being in Newcastle, is the three-way calls. And I know we're going to talk about that a bit later, but for me they were massive. It developed my confidence and just learning how people speak to other people, how they relate the message. It was just perfect, and I learned so much. So I really encourage that as a great way. These training webinars are massive. At the start I wouldn't have imagined myself being on them, but I learned a lot, and you actually get excited because you get to sort of meet the people sort of virtually, and I think that's been a big thing for me, is just getting in and actually being a real part of the community, because you can get so much from people. I know, Nathan and Martine, you hear a lot from me over the time. You never stop learning, so never ever stop learning, but don't bury your head in a book and try and learn that way. Actually get in and just do it. It's learning on the job.
Yeah. So what has that done in comparison to people that educate them through books and videos compared to people that actually go out and learn by their mistakes?
if you move quickly, you don't get stopped by the fear. So those that sort of sit and bury their head in the books, you actually build up this anxiety about the whole thing and you make it bigger than it actually is. When you get in and actually just do it, you're like, that wasn't actually that hard. And that's what I think, you know, this business loves speed, but also speed kills the fear. So I say just get in and do things quickly and learn on the job is the best way forward.
Definitely. So, in terms of a normal week, let's talk about a normal week to start off with. And because we're talking to superstars here, we're talking about a diamond and an emerald. For a lot of people, that's inspirational and where people want to be. How many invitations typically on a normal week would you be making every single week? I'll ask both of you this, but I'll start with you, Amy. How many invitations per week would you?
So it probably differs a little bit for me now as to what it did when I initially started. So if you're really new in the business, then every single person I spoke to, it was about what I was doing and that they needed it in their life. So it would typically be between 15 and 20 people a week. It's probably not as much now, to be honest, because the team's great and it's massive and we're doing a lot of three-way calls, so that's a lot of my day, but still connecting with at least 2 people a day about this opportunity.
Yep, definitely.
And there was something really important you said there that I like, that a lot of people get stuck on, is connecting with people about the opportunity. Very important tip there. Now, how many would you invite during a blitz period?
Oh my gosh, so through the Blitz, my entire life for 6 weeks is on hold. And that might scare some people, I know, but it can change a life. And so, how that can change my life is really also dependent on how many lives I can change. So, I never really had a figure. I do know, though, that I did make sure that it was upwards of 30 or 40 people through the week, because we were making sure that every single person had a vehicle for success. And I just wanted to make sure I touched everyone that I spoke to in terms of the opportunity mark. It was definitely about approaching it from a business perspective for me. Through my first blitz, probably was a little bit more product based, and then once I got to that platinum gem rank, it completely changed. I owned network marketing as a business, and then I approached everyone with a business opportunity, not only because of what it had done for me and for you, because we did go to school together, I know you quite well, but for worldwide, really. And, I'm great mates with Nick now, and also there's, I don't know how many thousands of people in the team, but if I never connected with those guys, then I wouldn't be in the position I am today. So it's all about that connection.
Definitely. So, Nikki, you probably don't actually know the difference between a normal week and a blitz, would you?
Our team down here said, "What's a blitz?" I said, "Oh, what we do now, but on supercharge." And like, "Oh, okay, I thought we were already blitzing." But yeah, no, we love blitzing down here.
Definitely. So, is there any kind of difference in terms of invitations that you specifically would look at when you first started, maybe, and how many times you were inviting somebody either to look at the products or the business?
Yeah, very early on, I wasn't. I've been very comfortable inviting from a business perspective very early on, because I actually sit more comfortably with the business than I do with the products. For me, if I'm talking about products, I feel like I'm selling, and I'm like, I actually arrest people for a living. I don't really sell stuff. No one really wants to go to jail, so that doesn't quite work. But in terms of talking about the business, it's something that I just love doing that. And so I'm always talking to people about it. And sometimes you're not even, I find it's easier sometimes to not actually directly talk about it. It's to show people these small changes that have happened in your life as a result of the decision you've made to do this. And that to me has been a big thing, is actually just being around people more, just small little things you might put on your Facebook, being a lot happier because you actually are, because of who you're working with. And people start asking you what you're doing. And then if you're just leading with the business, it's easy to do. During a blitz, we're on Supercharged down here. We started blitzing mid last week because I don't like waiting. I'm not patient. So the whole point of that was to give everyone a chance to basically make a commitment to what they were going to do, and we sort of worked around it that way. So instead of actually saying how many people they had to invite, it was committing them to how many presentations they would attend and how many people they would have at presentations. So that sort of changed it for them, then feeling like it was a number that they had to invite. But yeah, for me, it's just you know, you just tell everyone, but you don't have to vomit on them to tell them.
Definitely. So, do you invite differently based on a varied approach? So, do you want to maybe clarify that question with the girls in terms of the way you're approaching?
Yeah, so how do you have a standardized approach for your warm market, opposed to maybe if you're reaching out in the beginning? We often start with our inner circle for a couple of reasons, because they benefit from everything we do. They get the best positions in our business and we have amazing products. Opposed to if someone feels their warm market have already been in front of the message, how would you reach out to your warm market opposed to someone that you may not have had contact with for some time?
Yeah, Amy.
I can go. So I can just give you some examples. Look, from a personal perspective, my invitations are always personal and authentic. So for me, it's about creating that relationship. And with my warm market, I know them and I know them well, and that's just the type of person I have been. So I can show them a way that can really help them with whatever it is they need in their life. So for my warm market, the approach for me is a little bit different. So if I could show you, would you? And I also just really ask a lot of questions, and it's about listening to what they want for them and their family, and finding out their why before they've even been a part of the business. So opposed to somebody who's a bit more cold or someone who I don't see. I had this question from one of my downline today: how do you approach somebody that you really want as part of your business, but you haven't spoken to them for a long time? And I said, you still have to be authentic, mate. And you really just need to be upfront, ask them and tell them what you're doing, and ask them if they'd be open to having a look. So there's that way, just telling them exactly what you're doing. You're a part of a business that you think these guys would be really good at, and I'd love you to take the opportunity and the time to have a look at it, because it can help you in A, B, C or D. And as opposed to, I was in Sydney a couple of weeks ago and I hired a car, and the lady at the counter, I said, how's your day? She said, oh, man, it's been the worst day of my life. I hate my boss. I hate what I'm doing. And so I just was like, well, you probably might be interested in what I do. And, she watched a webinar and she loved it. So it's all just about the way that you connect with people and making it about them and not about you.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of best times to talk to people, best times to contact people, because we know, there is our best time. For you, Nikki, what have you found in your experience is the best time to invite or talk to people? Let's say maybe on your list that you actually want to have as part of your business.
Well, generally, when you're approaching people, like the people I've had on my list, that they've been working full time, so I find it's easier at night. So that's sort of the times that I tend to talk to people. I'm a bit of a night owl, so for me it works quite well. But yeah, I generally find you've got to work around them. Some people are available during the day, but I find, for me personally, most of them have been better off during the night time after work.
Yeah, and in terms of the approach between messaging versus on the phone, what are your experiences both ways, and what's the pros and cons for both sides? And we might ask both of you this question, but for you, Nikki, what's the pros and cons of messaging versus on the phone?
There's a few people in Melbourne on a ban from messaging at the moment.
Not bad.
A lot of that is because people hide behind the messages, and I find it's really hard to personalise things when you're using a message. It's a safe place for people. They feel like they can message and no one can see them, so it's safe. but you can't portray your excitement through a message. You can't get someone to trust you. I'm a big one on asking people to trust me. They need to hear my voice to be able to do that. I actually prefer to do that in person as opposed to on the phone. So I would actually suggest, from my perspective, to be using the SMS and Messenger to get in contact with people, to get their numbers and call them and then go meet them.
Yeah. So maybe from Kenny's perspective, is there any benefit for using Messenger or text that you can think of?
Yeah, so I do find benefit for setting up the appointment, never to share the message. So for me, if I'm using a text or a messenger, it's exactly as Nikki just said. It's to either get their phone number if I don't have it, or to set up a good time to meet face to face, to watch a webinar, to invite them to connecting over the phone. So no, text message isn't something that's ever worked for me or much of my downline in consolidating their business.
How does group Facebook invites work with events?
Oh, I did this. I'm sure many people did this. Oh, you didn't, Nick? No. Look, it hasn't worked for me. The number one reason I can foresee is because it's not a personal approach. If you're inviting 20 plus people over a messenger invite, then all of them can see who's going and who's not, and they'll think somebody else will just turn up. So no, for me, it definitely needs to be a personal approach to an invitation.
Definitely.
Totally.
And my 2.5 years in this business, just for everyone listening, I have never seen, I'm hoping it happens one day for the people that still insist on not being coachable and doing it for their sake, but I have never seen a Facebook group event invite be super successful. So if anyone out there has, feel free to inbox me and let me know. So one of the, how important and how does inviting impact on that closing process?
You go, Nick.
Nikki?
This is massive. This is massive. I can tell you, as a presenter, like if you've invited people in a certain way, the presenter's got such a hard job at the start to basically undo the whole invitation so that people are open to actually hearing the message. So invite from the heart, invite with the business, lead with the business, so that basically when you get through the presentation, people get to the business and go, I didn't get invited for that, I'm not staying for this bit, and you lose them. It's really, really tricky. But if you actually invite with the business from the start, it is a massive, massive difference to the way people turn up at the presentation. So for me, it's a big thing that we've actually, we've just done a few little get-togethers down in Victoria talking about this in particular, saying you're actually making a really hard job for the person who's presenting if you don't invite in the right way. So you've invited them because you want them to see a message. So give them something about that, like you need to come along, you need to see this, edify the person who's going to be there, like you have to see this woman present, it's amazing. And then they actually come with some excitement. Also, if you've invited by telling them half the message, we've got to undo that at the start as well. So that's what I would say in terms of inviting, yeah, as little as possible and give them some excitement and get them excited to be in the room to hear about what this amazing thing is that we're going to talk about.
And I love how you mentioned the edification, which is super important. You know, it just gives that person who is presenting, you know, that extra, you know, credentials and really boost that up. So it's just super important. So for Kenny, you likewise with that that question?
Yeah, I was just going to say I completely agree. People join you and they join you and what you're all about. So tell them, give them that bit of background so that they come with that excitement. Keep it light and keep it really fun and you'll get people excited about exactly what you're doing.
Yep, definitely. So this is pretty much, is there anything else you want to cover off on inviting, Martine, and sum it up?
Yeah, the other thing if you're having a struggle talking about the opportunity and the business, because I really get it, the products are phenomenal. So it can take a lot to get past that and get around how good they are. If you're not familiar with what Nucerity's vision is, it's creating beautiful lives through enhancing beauty. So what the girls are talking about is don't be cutting that vision in half. We have an obligation. I encourage you to write that down. If you struggle talking about the business, I have an obligation that you understand, because can you imagine if Pam didn't tell Eva there was an opportunity? None of us would be on this call right now. So it's important. They don't have to do the business, but you'll be surprised. It doesn't matter how tough a room I've had, if I ask who's open to extra income, no matter how closed and shut off their body language is, they can't say no to it. So get comfortable with that language. And when you bring people for all of it, then they can just make an informed decision of what's best for them.
Yeah, and I suppose the thing is, and you probably see it in your presentations, where if people haven't been invited, not just for a product, when people start talking about opportunity, they start just to go, and does it become quite awkward?
Well, it does make the job a little bit more challenging, and people, the leaders you've got on your on the call tonight, on the webinar, we'd be okay with it. But for a new person, that's why it's so important. If you can get them just sharing that whole vision, and I like to always give people an opt-out so there's no pressure. So I'm not sure whether it's for you or not, but I know that if it's not for you, you'll know someone that could help. And we'll go, oh, sweet. And you might even, if you're really uncomfortable and feel like you're selling, which we're absolutely not, tell people to leave their wallet at home. That's something that people find really effective too. Yep. So why do you use a third party as part of the process, Amy?
Wow. So third party is paramount with Nucerity. It's paramount with everything that you need to be doing with this business. It was something that I thought I could do on my own at the beginning, and it wasn't a tool that I used a lot of. But now I embrace it 100% wholly and solely, and my entire team use it every single day, thanks to Boss Wallace. But what third party does is it helps us learn, because most of us lack the beginning, most of us lack self-confidence, and so third party really helps us learn, and it also helps you get people away from the feeling of rejection. So at the beginning, a lot of us feel like we don't want to be told no. And if you have a third party on the line, they're able to combat all of your objections and all of your persons or your prospects' objections, and it also stops that rejection being a personal feeling. So they are so easy to duplicate. I cannot tell you how easy three-way calls are to do on your phone. They make your business grow faster, and they also help you duplicate throughout everything in your entire business, not even just third-party three-way calls. I'm talking about webinars, anything, website, clips. There are so many third-party tools that you can use to help you build your business and duplicate that down.
Definitely. What about you, Nikki? How do you find using that as part of that kind of that part process?
I love the three-way calls, and like I said at the start, I didn't have my upline here, and I was not really knowing where to start without the three-way calls. I don't know where I would be, because I actually, developed a relationship with lots of different leaders sort of in this business, and I learned from them from afar without even actually physically having met that person. And then when I actually got to meet them, I was really, really excited. But it also, for me, it gave me stories. And I know throughout the trainings, the Success Saturdays and so forth, you've talked about having stories to tell people. Those three-way calls are where I got my stories from at the start, because I didn't have these people in front of me. So not only was the three-way call something that I could just sit down and take lots of notes and really just take everything in and learn so much, but it was the best way for somebody else to get a really clear explanation without me bumbling my way through it, because I had no idea what I was doing at the start, as most people coming in don't. So why not use someone else to help give the right information? At least you're comfortable that these people have the right information.
Yeah, and I suppose it comes down to people knowing, liking, and trusting you. That sometimes they just don't believe you. And for the business where it is at the moment, three-way calls would be probably up there with the top part of building the business. So in terms of building outside your own postcode, how important is it to using that tool? A
This
third
is
party.
something for me in the last month definitely has been a massive part of my business. Uh, I remember the week that I went diamond, I think I did 3 or 4 face-to-face presentations and probably over 100 third-party tools we used. And so, and that's because our business is now branching out into other parts of Australia. We live on the Northern Rivers and it's a small population, but I've been able to grow quite a massive team here, and now we're branching out into different parts of Australia, and I've got 6 weeks till a baby. I can't really fly anymore, so I had to make sure that my business was able to grow and that of my downlines business was able to grow and have me accessible through a third party or a three-way call. So it's definitely something that I will never go without ever, and I'm duplicating that through my team every single day.
Absolutely. And it's the key to duplication quickly, regardless of where anyone is on the planet. So, huge thank you to you ladies giving up your valuable times, because we know it's day one of the Blitz and your team is exploding. And I just want to re emphasize something Amy touched on. Be completely detached from the outcome. It's not about you. Something I learned, my best friend's actually coming on board this week, and Nikki was kind enough to Skype in because she needed to hear it from someone else that did not know her or know anything of her. And there was something that she shared with Nikki that I kind of cringed at, but I laughed because it was part of my journey. And she said the reason I had no interest because it was all Martine talked about for the first 6 months. And I was like, oh my God, I'm happy for her, but not for me. It was just way too much. So I want to encourage you, we follow up with your friends, but be their friend too. I get it. It's so exciting. It's so passionate, and you get so passionate. And I was like a possessed woman on a mission. But that really hit home for me as becoming a professional. And, you know, I didn't care whether she joined me or not now, but I wanted it so bad for her, but she had to want it for herself. And since I've stopped caring whether she does it or not and just let her ask me about it, because, you know, I'd vomited all over her for 6 months. It was a really important message that I thought I need to pass that on and teach that to other people, because it was a bit of a cringe-worthy moment. And when you stop being afraid of people saying no, it's weird, but you just attract them. They start saying yes. So completely detach from the outcome, and remember, it is never ever about you. It's what this gift could do for someone else, and let them decide by getting them in front of the message. So happy blitzing. Thank you girls so much for your time, and look forward to seeing you guys create so many more beautiful lives.
And the next conference call will be at the same time Monday. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. See ya.
Thanks for having us. Good
Thank you.
night.
Bye.